And we live. What's up, everybody? Sergei here, and actually with me here, I have Vladimir, who's right over here, but you can't see him. But welcome to the live stream. It's my first one this year. I'm a bit nervous. I feel a little queasy anyway. But today I want to talk about smartREKT, and I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes for everybody to get here. I'm super excited about this script. In fact, many of you know the background behind the script. Me and Tim Thiessen worked hard to make this happen, and I mainly just bugged Tim Thiessen for like a lot of help. Like he would help me with just checking and stuff like that. But as many of you know, he passed away recently, and man, it's been a sad news for the whole community. But his legacy lives on, and with this script as well. So I'm pumped about it. But here shortly, while I wait on everybody to get here, I'm going to talk about smartREKT, what it is, why am I so excited about it. And really, I wrote this script because I needed it. Like I was tired of doing expressions over and over again to do a simple task. And so eventually I just said, forget it. I'll just write a script. And that's how it came about. But so who do we have here? We have Sev from Workbench. Joe, what's up, guys? Andrew. We have, who else? Let's see. Rufus Studio, welcome. Greg Fish, I know that guy really well. Greg, welcome. Ultra Pixel Films, welcome. Dominic, Dave, and yeah, more people are piling in. But welcome to the group. We're going to begin here shortly. I'm going to wait one more minute, and then we're going to go live. And by the way, last time when I did live stream, I started doing my demo while as you can see, there's like a video to the right, left, whichever side it's on. Last time I was doing demo and I forgot to switch. So this time I'm going to make sure that I don't do that. Hey, Joel, welcome, man. Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to go right into it. So smartREKT, what is it and why am I so excited about it? Well, it's an old wooden ship. No, I'm just kidding. So here's what it is. And I don't know about you, but I use shape layers constantly. And I know a lot of you still probably use solids, but that ship has sailed for me. I'm just a big shapes layer guy, especially rectangle tool. And by the way, let me switch. I'm not going to forget that. Hold on one second. Wait for this. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. Look at all these beautiful names. Anyway, so now I hope everyone sees the screen. I'm going to go full screen here shortly. So what is smartREKT? Well, again, I use shape layers like many of you, and the frustration that I have with the rectangle tool, this thing right here, it's super awesome, right? You can draw your shape, and let me change the color of this so you can see, right? You can draw your shape, but the problem with it is like to do any kind of things with it, you'd have to go all the way to rectangle and like the size. So you have the size, and the second problem is it's not separated, right? The X and Y are on the same like property. Then you can see you can't split dimension. So that's an issue, but it's okay. Before I would create sliders and attach expressions to separate them, and so that's okay. But then another thing, you have to, like, if you notice when you scale it, it would only scale from the center, right? It'll size from the center on both X and Y. And I don't know about you, but that was problematic for me. So what I had to do, I'd have to go in a position here, write an expression, all that stuff. And it might seem silly, but that's, those are steps you have to take every single time to get something simple done. And, what I did with smartREKT, and by the way, here it is, right here, here's the smartREKT, and it's really, this button is all you need, but I added more features in here to just kind of speed up the process. But here's how it works. All you got to do is just click on this rect button. And if you have nothing selected, it will create in the middle just a rectangle shape. And in here right away, you have all these options that you can access instantly. The X size, right? You can adjust it based on pixels. So if your layer is at 100% in scale, then it will be accurate to your composition. So if your text is so many pixels, then it'll be accurate, right? So it's perfect for expressions, especially for things like smartREKT at time method, which I'll talk about here shortly. And by the way, I will add that feature eventually. I know a lot of people are asking. So we have the X size, the Y size, but another thing that I'm excited right now, it sizes from the center, right? But you can size it from any point, right? You can say top left for this anchor point to be at top left. So when you do that, it goes to top left, and now it sizes from the top left corner. So the same stuff as before. And then, you know, you can say bottom right, and the sky's the limit what you can do with this. Now, we also have this X scale and Y scale that I've added because sometimes, for example, I created the shape that I want, but then I wanted to size, you know, I don't want to mess around with pixels. This way I can just animate it from 0 to 100. And at 100, it's going to be my final size. So that way I can play with these, and I'll show you here in a lower third example. And this thing comes in handy, very handy. So you can play with scale, and you also can play with size. These are pixel accurate, and these are based on percentage, which is good. And then we also have the usual, you know, you can round corners, and then the skew. Okay, well, that's like the basics, like the foundation of smartREKT. And it's pretty easy to understand. And by the way, let me see if I can go full screen so you guys can see. Let me see. Ready, set. Look at that logo wipe. Wait for it. And we're full screen on this. Okay, now let me show you another example. So I talked about how, you know, when you don't have anything selected, you can click smartREKT and it creates a shape that you can keep going. But sometimes you want, for example, to draw a shape that's the same size as your text. And if you had to do it using the rectangle tool, you'd have to, you know, draw a shape. By the way, let me turn these off because it's probably hard for you to see my cursor. Let me change this. It seemed like a good idea, but let me change this to something else. All right, here you go. Now you can see my cursor, probably better. So then, you know, you would have to draw a shape, and then you had to put it underneath wherever it needs to be, right? And then even then you had to adjust the size. I mean, it was a lot of work. Well, with smartREKT, it's pretty easy. All you got to do, select all your text layers, and it also supports vector layers, supports pretty much anything. But with it works perfect with layers that are continuously rasterized checked. You know, those that have checked, basically vector layers, it works perfectly with it. However, you can also apply it on like a raster, like image, footage, anything like that, composition, solids, it'll work well as well. Now, so all you gotta do is just select your layers, and then as you can see, my anchor points are out of whack, and I did it on purpose. But the first thing you need to do is center your anchor points to the center of the text. And that might change in a smartREKT 3.0, you know, it will have to, I had it rigged to where it was perfectly centered, you know, to where you didn't have to do this. But text and vectors, it was slightly off, that was throwing me off. So I just ended up going to a manual. So you just manually had to center it like this. And then all you have to do, just click smartREKT. It will automatically create a rectangle for every single layer. And my computer's a little slow right now because of the live stream, but as you can see, it creates it instantly right underneath each text layer. And that's cool, but here's another thing. So let me undo this. You can also create some padding for the X-axis, for the Y-axis, and you can do that in here, auto size options in here. And you just say, for the X, let me do like a 60 pixel pad, right? And then a 30 pixel pad on the Y for each text. And then once you've done that, you can also say, oh, cool, I can do mask and parent, which I'll talk about here in a second. So once you've made the pad, you can click, and then it'll do the same thing. You can see it's a little too much, but you get the idea. But even then, afterwards, you can adjust. You have the same smartREKT options that you can quickly adjust. Okay, let me undo this. Okay, let me tone this down. Maybe do like 20 and 10. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see how instantly I was able to create this without any kind of issues. And what I mean by that, like before, I mean, these are the things that you spend hours of doing, like little time here and there adds up, and that's wasteful, you know? And so another cool thing about it, you can also select your anchor points. So let's say if I want to extrude or scale from the left side, I can just say, let's do center left. I want anchor point to be on the center left. And then you can say, run it, right? And then it's going to create it for every single layer. And then you can select it right here. You can either adjust the size, or you can do the scale right here, right? You can extrude it from 0 to 100. So you can see how instantly you can go to work and not waste time. All right, so let me undo this, and let's talk about another auto size option settings. We have mask and parent. So mask is essentially this. So when you have that checked, when you run smartREKT, it will not only run it, but it will also apply that smartREKT as a mask. In other words, the text, let me undo this. Let me go back. There you go. Before, right, if I move the text, see, as I go outside of my rectangle, the smartREKT, right? It stays outside, right? Well, now, let me undo that. If I run it and have mask checked, watch this. So it runs it, here we go. And now when I select the text for each one of them, you can see it stays within the shape, which is great. I mean, that's, again, time saved. You don't have to do that manually. And it doesn't matter where it is in the composition, it will stay with that. Okay, that's a cool one. Here's another thing. Not only, you know, if you select the text, you can see that the shape is not moving with it. But you can check this parent checkbox, right? And then when you run it, not only will it apply the mask, but it will also parent it to the selected layers, right? So now when you select the text, it will move with it. So that can come in handy. But you can also, you know, select this smartREKT and animate on the X scale, and you can see it does mask it out. So it's a perfect tool for creating lower thirds. Now, many of you have been asking, like, why, you know, it'd be cool to have a feature that's, you know, after you create it, it creates automatic smartREKT at time method, which is what it did. What it is basically, it's, let me create this. It creates like, you know, to where if you adjust the text, right? If I change this, you can see that the shape doesn't go with it. So that's a bit problematic. I did have that feature added in, but it would just cause problems because, you know, after you create the shape, you had to figure it out how to, you know, what if you changed, you know, what if you didn't want for that shape to be married to that text and other, you know, so there's other ways I had to, basically, I'm not there yet. I'm looking for better ways to solve that problem. So it's going to be there eventually. I'm just trying to be more, I don't know, more productive with it, not to waste your time just yet. But as of right now, all you got to do, just select the shape and you can go to the size right here. You can select E and go to the size right here. You can just alt click on the stopwatch and point to the text that you want. In this case, it's right above Workbench. By the way, shout out to Workbench, Joe and Sev, one of my favorite people. Anyway, so then you can say smartREKT at time, and then you can say, what is it? We're on X, so it's going to be width. That's all you have to add, right? Just point to the text, and then you would say smartREKT at time, this method right here, and then just say, what do you want, height or width? And when you do that, it's going to adjust to Workbench here. So now when you adjust the text, it will go with it. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, all it is just a simple, right, this simple method right here. But eventually I'm going to add that to it. So I think you guys are pretty clear on this. Another cool thing about this, again, not only does it work on text, but it also works on like PNG files. Well, that's huge, man. Hold on a second. Let me scale this down. Well, that doesn't work. So you can see it works on this, but watch this. You can make it 3D. You can do all kinds of stuff to it. And then when you run smartREKT, again, if you have the padding and everything else, it will create it based, not it will only create it, but it will create it, you know, the same 3D shape and everything else. So that's huge. And if it's, you know, if you have it animated too, it will also, you know, especially if you have it parented, if something's animated, it will create it based on where it's at, and then it will parent to it, and then that's great, right? So in fact, let me do something real quick. This was not planned, so I'll make sure I get rid of this set matte effect. So I have this Workbench, and we're gonna keyframe it real quick. Just from here, let's do like 20 frames, boom. And by the way, if you guys are not subscribed to Workbench, you're missing out. You should definitely check them out. All right. And let's do this real quick. If you watch my tutorials, I'm big on easing. So we have something like this, right? As it comes in, let's say right here, I can run smartREKT, you know, whatever settings you want, right? Boom. And it will automatically stay with it. That's pretty cool. And then you can do, I don't know, whatever you want. Sky's the limit. So you get the idea. So that's one. Let's go to point number 2. Again, the same thing. You should join our community. You like what I did there? That's good. And then you can do boom, create it for every one of them. No brainer. I mean, you can easily, I mean, not only does it help you to create it in After Effects, but you can create graphics quickly. I don't know, like a banner or something you're creating. I don't know. It's definitely a useful tool. That's all I'm trying to say here. Another cool thing, and let me show you this real quick. So I'm going to create a smartREKT. Here it is. I'm going to adjust the size. Because the way it's rigged to where I can put this cursor at the bottom right here, I can say bottom center. Right now it's at the center. Because the way it's rigged, it's perfect for like, I don't know, just about anything. Like if you're creating like a line or what is it, column graph, or something like that, right? You would have a shape like this, and then maybe you'll have a text. Let's do something like this, title 1, and then let's make it center, size it down. You can do shift. If you hold down shift and parent, it will snap it to the same anchor point, and then you can kind of move it downwards. So we have something like this, right? It parented, and you can also duplicate this and do shift parent again. And then this time you can use smartREKT. For example, you can say, let's hit E to reveal smartREKT. And then in here, let's say I wanted to, we're going to go in Y, right? We're going to go up in Y. So from this second shape text that I just duplicated, I'm going to hit P for position and then separate dimensions. And then for the Y, right, I can just link it to the Y size. And watch this. It's going to go in the opposite direction. Let's reverse that by adding negative. So just opposite direction. And the cool thing about this, when you adjust the size, not the X, but the Y, it moves with it. You can adjust smartREKT after smartREKT, and you can obviously offset this, but you can see how this could be useful for graphs and things like that. And for example, I'm going to get the source text. You can also say, hey, let's get the Y size number, right? And as I'm moving it, not the X, I always get the X, you can see the number moves with it. And you can offset this and whatever. But the cool thing about this, you can also convert this into a motion graphic template. Or is it? It's called, the name's just leaving me right now, master properties, right? So go to essential graphics, and then you can select this comp. What is it? I think it is this one. Okay. And then you can just drag things in there. You can say, let's do the text. Well, yeah, let's not worry about this text because it already has expression applied. So this one right here, the title, right? I can say, let's bring the title, and I'm going to say title. And then we can also bring the X and the Y, so we can adjust them on the fly. And then you can go out of here and go to, here's a final comp right in here. I'm going to get rid of this, and I can move that in here. So because it is a master property kind of rigged composition, I can go to master properties in here and adjust things on the fly, right? And I can change my title here, right click, edit value, and say data 1, right? And I hit OK. And you can move it up. You can create like a chart or a column, whatever. Then when you're done, you can duplicate it, Control D, move it again, and say, hey, let's go back to master properties here. And let's change that to maybe different value, maybe a bit lower, right click, edit value. You can say data 2, and you get the idea. So you can easily use this tool to create things on the fly. Can you imagine if you had to do this by hand, and I mean using other tools? That's why I created this tool, because I think it's a lifesaver. And if you don't have it, man, you should definitely consider it. So let's see 3. By the way, I also like using align tool. If you don't use it, it's super cool. For example, to get the equal amount here, boom. Anyway, so you can quickly create a graph and change things and create something interesting. And yeah, I'm definitely a fan. And to be honest with you, I don't do its justice. Like I haven't talked about smartREKT as much as I probably should, because this tool will save you so much time. All right, let's keep going here. One last thing I want to talk about that I'm working on. Well, actually, before that, let me create a quick lower third with smartREKT. So let's say we have a text. We can say, let me see, who do we have? Okay, Dave. Just whoever was in my Control V, right? That's the name that popped up. So let's do paragraph left, and let's add some kind of title here. Awesome dude. And let's see, let me copy somebody else's name. 1 second, let me go into this screen right here and copy. Control C, Control V. All right. Here we go. And let's go to text, scale this down. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, guys. Thanks for, so we have a lower third kind of, I don't know, structure here, right? Then next what I would do, I would center it, right? And anchor point, then say, let's add like 60 pixels to the sides, and maybe, I don't know, let's do like 30, might be too much. Let's do 20, and let's do it from the center. That's probably be good. Yeah, let's do it from the left side. Let's do top left, let's do top center left. No, let's do top left. Okay, so then I'm going to create it, right? So here it is. We have a quick, basically skeleton for you to put meat on, so you have something to work with already. And you can quickly, because they are separated, you can go hit E to see the properties. So we have these two. I'm going to select both of them, hit S twice to solo it. So I got here quickly, and they're separate, so I don't have to worry about splitting these. I can set a keyframe here and go shift page down twice to set another keyframe, and we're going to go from 0 to 100. Okay, so I'm going to do Control Shift F9, easy ease in, Control Shift F9, easy ease out, Control Shift K. Let's add some easing. Okay, so we created something quick, right? And this, okay, here you go. No problem, right? Then what I can do, I can copy this and then paste it in here. So we have boom, but you can't see it. So for this, instead of 0, I'm going to say, let's do 10. Maybe that's a bit much. Let's do 5. So we have something like this. 1, 2, quickly, right? We're able to create something interesting. But watch this. What if you're like, hey man, I want to change this to come out from bottom right, from this side, and watch this, it just went out on you, right? That's a problem. As long as you go to the end, you know, it does it, right? But it's just messed up. As long as you go to the end of your animation, you can click this black magic icon here. That if you click on it, boom. 1 second, something didn't work right. Oh, before you do that, watch this. Let me undo it. You want to make sure that your anchor point is centered. So center your anchor point, and then pick your, say, bottom right. So as long as your anchor point is always centered to the text, and you hit this button, it will automatically adjust. So now it's going from that side. Let's say, let's go from center left, right from this side. You can see it's messed up. However, if you get to the end of it and boom, hit the black magic button, basically what it is, it's center the shape, or it centers the shape to the center of your anchor point of smartREKT shape. So you can see instantly, you can get some options in here, like what is this? Let's try this. Boom. Anyway, you get the idea how useful this thing is. And yeah, I know it was hard to explain this tool without like showing to people, but I created this because I got tired of manually moving it around. And obviously it's a bit off here, but what you can do with it is pretty incredible. Let me do this. I mean, it's so kind of rewarding to watch, you know, like here we go. Boom, boom, done. All right, well, that's it as far as like what smartREKT can do. And obviously you can create smartREKT by clicking here, but you can rename it. You can create the size of it, you know, by default, if you don't have anything selected. Let me get rid of this. You know, it creates it right here, but you can say, hey, I want it to be like 150 by, let's do 500. And when you create it, it's going to create it like that. You can name it. Right now it says smartREKT. So these are like extra tools. You can pick the anchor points, but that's pretty much it. As far as like enable auto size, I had to turn this, I added this because of Tim Thiessen, because he asked me, he's like, hey man, I work with smartREKT all the time, and sometimes I'll have something selected, and when I create a smartREKT, it will create it based on my selection. So sometimes if you just want to create smartREKT just like you would this shape, so you can disable it, and whether you have things selected or not, it will always create a smartREKT. So that's why I added that in. Okay, last thing I want to mention is if you purchased this smartREKT, you also will get this. It's a basically lower third rig that I rigged up using smartREKT, and this thing is like on drugs. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm still finalizing. It's done, but I will get it to you guys soon. It's in the next day or so. The only thing is just marketing takes some time, and just to get things uploaded and all that stuff. So this lower third, if you purchased it, it's gonna be free to you. It's got all kinds of cool stuff, and watch what it does. So you can, you know, it's fully responsive, so you can select the text, right, and then go to text. You can size it down based on, you know, you can size it. I mean, it's so responsive. It takes whatever the edge takes the longest text, right? It's super cool like that. The same thing, you can type anything you want, whatever, right? It will adjust, or you can paste somebody's name. Do I still have it? Maybe not. Nope, nothing. Okay, so it's responsive, but the cool thing about this, we have all these options. So for example, right now it sizes it just like smartREKT, right? It goes from the center right now, but if I change it to top left, it will go from top left, right? I can say bottom right, and it will size it bottom right. I mean, you can create essentially your own lower third. And essentially, for example, let's do bottom left, or yeah, right here. It'll size it from bottom left. But here's the thing. Let me show you some cool options. You have animation settings. You can, it's keyframe-less. There are no keyframes. So if I hit U multiple times, it's all expressions. There's no keyframes. It's completely keyframe-less. And you might be saying like, well, that's messed up, dude. I want to adjust the easing. No problem. We have easing. I worked hard on this, man. So we have all these easing things. It's super, super cool. We have, you know, the starting point, the ending point, also the duration of your animation. Like right now it comes in, it's a second and a half. You can say come in like 3 seconds, take 3 seconds, and it's gonna take 3 seconds for it to animate in, right? And then out. So it's pretty cool like that. Another cool thing about this, you can adjust the easing. So you can say linear, you know, come in linear, right? Well, wait a minute, something didn't work. Oh, that's the end. I don't know, I need to swap those. I'm not sure why I did that. So linear, you can see it's still work in progress. I'm finalizing it. So you can see it's linear. You can say, let's do out. So it comes in and then slowly arrives. So these easings, you know, all these easing is going to be very useful for you guys. So I'm building it, almost done. And then we also have offset. So you can offset things. You can say, let me pull this so you can see all of it. You can say go like offset the shape X, Y, for example. I'm going to say 1 on the X, right? And then let's do stroke. Let's not introduce stroke yet. I'm going to say the name, right? Let's offset it 1.1. So right after the shape comes in 1.2, 1.3. So now we have nothing, right? But the thing is, it kind of comes in from the bottom, but you need to go to shape here and say, hey, the starting point, I want it to be, hold on, let's see. Not that one. And I think this one. Yeah, there you go. It's going to animate in and then boom. Pretty cool, right? So animates in and like that. And then it will animate out the same way. Just like you offset it in here, it will automatically animate out. So it's really, really cool. So like that comes in. You can adjust the timing and you can do end differently, but you have this checkbox to where it's going to be the exactly same as that one. It will adjust it to the end and animate out just like it animated in. But if you want to have specific, I'm very specific when I worked at Fox Sports. Like I wanted to animate out quicker, so I don't want it to be the same. So you know, I'm very conscious of that. So anyway, but you can just have it checked and it'll be the same as that. And let's see. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but let me show you one more thing, and well, a few more things. So text. You also have, you can disable it completely, the animation. It doesn't animate at all. You can say, hey, instead of on this side, let's go to the right side. Justify it on the right, align right. You can swap. You can say, let's get rid of title 1, 2, or title 1, and it'll go just to one name, right? Bring it back in, right? So it's pretty cool. Then what else? It's similar to module lower third that we have, but this one is just keyframe-less, and it's much quicker, I think. Another thing, you have the animation of the text. You can say, name text come in from, let's say, left to right. So now it's going to come in from left to right, like that. And then let's go right to left. And this one can go, we'll just leave it as is. So if you preview this, you can see it creates some cool things. All right, then we also have things like, you know, obviously shape options. You can still do rounded corners. Whoops. Skew, rounded corners. All of that jazz is great. We have animation. We talked about this. We have stroke options. So you can say, you know, stroke animates in as well, but obviously you want to offset the stroke. So let me go to title or animation settings and then start. Let's go to stroke right here, that one, and say, let's do 1 let's do 4, the last thing that animates in. So it comes in and then stroke can animate in. So you have some options here. You can, you know, offset, do all kinds of cool stuff. The same animation, you know, I don't know, the sky's the limit. I'm still adding some stuff. But another thing, spacing. So you can also modify this. You can say, add space to the top, add space to the bottom, right? Add space. I mean, whatever you put in there, it will still adjust. And again, I created this lower third using using smartREKT. That's how exciting, and I did it in a day. I mean, because it's already rigged up for you, ready to go. I didn't have to do much because smartREKT already rigged up in a way to where it's so awesome. Then, you know, you can add gaps between name and titles, right? Whatever you adjust in here, it will stay. Now, another cool thing about this right now, the reason why it's taking me so long to release it, because I'm creating some templates for you guys so you don't have to, you know, so you have something to work with. And I already have like right now 19 of them. Kind of, I did it quickly before I logged in here. So we have like a first one like that, and you know, it'll be a preset that you double click and it will. So here's one that's kind of what we did. Let's see if there's any radical ones. So one comes in from the side. Again, this is all from just one smartREKT. And let's see with this one. Again, you can adjust, turn things off. Let me go back here because there's some things. So I played around with the stroke. I did some math to where it knows the length of the side. So there's some of that. Just you can get rid of the stroke, and I mean, it's so cool what you can do with between easing and things of that nature. My computer is going super slow right now with streaming. Anyway, I think I made my point here, and the point is this: smartREKT is a tool you gotta have. I mean, especially if you do templates and stuff like that. I mean, that will save you so much time. I mean, I don't have to do much. You understand this. Even like this lower third, you can go back and say, hey, I don't want this title 2, title 1. Let's just do the name. And instantly, I mean, I remember working, hold on, let me go back to the screen here 1 second. I hope everyone's still here. I'm not sure if you guys are still on. Let's see. All right, let me go. Watch for the logo. Here we go. What's up? Anyway, so the reason why I'm excited about smartREKT, because I spent a lot of hours, if you just add it up, I mean, it's incremental, of wasting time, essentially. When in reality, you can just speed up your workflow so that you can spend most of your precious time on things that are exciting and fun, and that's creative things. Like, I would much rather spend more time, you know, on the creative side of my projects than just technical. And so that's one more tool. Again, if you are interested in this tool, you should definitely get it. And this lower third will be out in the next day or so. I'm still patching it together. But if you have any questions, I think I'm just going to conclude this. I think one thing I want to mention, I will update some things to where when you click on a text, it will, you know, create a smartREKT to where it will automatically size it. But I'm just trying to work it out in a way to where it actually makes sense. Because right now, it works fine as long as you know, have it on that layer. But what if you delete that text layer? Then what happens? You know, then you have that shape that's married to that layer, right? The width, and then it creates other problems. So that's why I kind of left it out, because I didn't solve that problem correctly just yet. But I will get there eventually. So let's see if you guys have any questions. And I have Vlad in here who's going to help me out. I can't believe that. Let's see. I know I'm a bit delayed here, but I hope you guys, let me know what you guys think about smartREKT. Like, what would you see? What would you like to see more in it? Like, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that, because essentially I created this tool for myself. I mean, I wanted to speed up my workflow. I'm all about speed, and I use it daily. Suzanne, thank you, Sergey. Great stuff looking. Awesome. Yes, it's coming. And by the way, thank you for the purchase. Ultra Pixel Dawson. Dawson's he lives here in town, and we met him, Vlad, remember?
That's right.
He's a cool dude. Looking forward to seeing him again. We're gonna have a lunch soon. Dawson, we'll have that soon. Van Marco. Well, Marco is my Italian friend. Love that guy, man. What's up, Marco?
Hey, Tom had a question. Does it still accept keyframes on top of effects control?
Keyframes. Let me see. Tom.
At the very bottom, scroll.
I don't see it. Oh, right here. Does it still accept keyframes on top of effect? You're talking about shape smartREKT, because smartREKT essentially is. Let me go back to small screen 1 second. Wait for it. Here goes the logo. There you go. So smartREKT is the same thing as this. I mean, essentially, it's the same thing. And it will do the exact same things. I just redirected it and customized it to my own liking. So when you create smartREKT, it's essentially the same thing. and you can adjust, you can set keyframes, do all of that stuff. You just can, it's an effect instead of you can still go right into contents, and you can still get the same size in here. You can see it's all red because I rigged it up, and now it redirected it to the effects here. So I made it easier for you so you don't have to go and search it. So everything's rigged. In fact, even like the roundness, before, like over there, it's not percentage, but here I just made it between 100 and 0%. So I made it to where it will always be 100%. You know, it will stay with it. So yeah, or if you stay 50, it will always stay 50. So I just made it easier, essentially. That's what I made. I'm not sure if I answered your question, Tom. Let me know. Any other questions? Converting shape. By the way, as art motion graphics, man, I want to thank you for being so, like, dude has just been so helpful with like pushing our stuff on social media. And yeah, man, thank you so much. Kirk, my friend Kirk. Well, Kirk, by the way, welcome, man. I love that guy too. I've met him at Adobe Max. Great guy, but I've talked to him often. But here's the thing about, you talking about gradient. Yeah, you can, but again, it's a shape layer. The best way to do it is just either adding it, like go into layer styles, and you can add gradient overlay, and you can do it this way. I mean, it's the same. I just try to avoid putting too much on because it slows down, you know, because I have to rig everything up. So I had to find a happy balance to where it would be right there at your fingerprints. Basically, it's not, I don't know, I want you to be, like, I want you to speed up the workflow, but at the same time, I don't want to slow it down by creating too many options, too many controls. And so I'm very like cautious of that. I don't want it to be to where like you have way too many options, like Maya and Cinema 4D, for example. Maya is like you have to go all the way to Russia just to get to America from here. You know, like it's just a lot of, they give you a lot of controls, and it's awesome. But in a lot of ways, simplifying things is much better. So that essentially, I try to avoid that. But again, if that's something that needs to be added, let me know, Kirk. All right, anything else? Bob, Dave, I think you're awesome. Vlad, you want to add anything?
No, just check out the podcast, today's episode.
Peace out, time to play. All right, man. Hey, I love that. Well, again, hey, I think this is probably time for me to wrap it up. And hold on one second. Let me do this. Wait a minute. There you go. And again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you, first of all, for your support. A lot of you are just phenomenal. The way you support us, either financially or by pushing our stuff, commenting, and just being so active in our community. And if you're not a part of our community, you're missing out, because it's a great community. They're like my family. That's why I always say Ukraine Media family. And some people get annoyed by that. They're like, I'm not your family. But, you know, I'm very family oriented. I come from a family of 9 kids, and I'm all about people. I love people, and I get weird when I'm by myself. I'm all about people. So if I know you and I've talked to you, you're my family. And that's what the community is about, and we're just there to help you. We've all gone through, you don't have to, I guess community is for like, you don't have to go through this motion graphic journey yourself. You have people that are veterans and have walked what you walked out, what you are walking out right now, and they can guide you and help you to avoid making mistakes and help you to realize that you're okay. You're not crazy. You know, the reason why you're struggling, it's not because you're not good or you're not this or whatever, like stuff that we put on ourselves. It's normal. It's all part of the growth. And so that is perfect. The community is perfect for that. And what they say, like, you are the average of 5 people you hang out with, and why not hang out with a bunch of motion graphics artists who are passionate about the same stuff as you? So ukrainmedia.com/community, you should definitely join. And with that, my question, please. Ultra Pixel, did he ask a question? What about other shapes like, yeah. Well, other shapes, here's the thing, like other shapes it's a bit more complicated. So like you can get a circle out of smartREKT if you just, you know, hit roundness all the way. But other shapes, it gets more complex. And the thing is, smartREKT is perfect. It's more commonly used than other shapes. Like we all use rectangle to create stuff, and it's perfect for that. Especially like I only showed you how to do it on the text, but you can select, images and stuff like that and create, everything's more like rectangular. So other shapes, I thought about it. And again, it's smartREKT, right? It's not like, it's not a circle or anything like that. So maybe in the future I will add something to it, but as of right now, I'm just going to focus on creating smartREKT and improving it and making it more helpful and useful for sure. But yeah, I thought about it, and you never know, man. This thing can grow into all kinds of things. Anything else, Vlad? Do you see anything that I'm missing?
Somebody else just asked something. You make the template.
So yeah, it is expression driven. And especially now with the expressions being much faster than they used to be. So that's why like I try to keep things minimal as possible, because I don't want to slow things down for you guys, because expressions do slow things down, contrary to what people think, but it does.
Bob wants to know, will you do a quick tutorial on using smartREKT with sourceREKT at time expression?
Let's do it right now. Hold on a second. Let me switch back to full screen. Let's see. Watch out for the logo. Here we go. All right. So let me do a quick tutorial. And it's so easy. Let me create a new composition, right? I'm starting from scratch. Let's say I have a text. Let's copy somebody's name here. Who was it? Was it Bob? Let's do Kirk, my man Kirk over here. Love that guy. Okay. So here we go. We're going to make this bigger. So we have this text. Let's make it like center. And so Kirk, we have the name. We're going to create something for him. So smartREKT is easy. The first thing you have to do, you want to center the anchor point. Right now it's right there. So center it. And then you can say, you can add the padding 60, mask, all that stuff is good. And let's do center and boom. Wait, why didn't I? What's going on? Did I break my, make sure you have this enabled. You remember I disabled it because sometimes you want that, but as you can see, it's already causing me trouble. So maybe I'll take that away. Okay, run it. So now you have smartREKT. And by the way, let's make sure, let's do 30 and not parents. Okay, run it. But it does, let me do all caps because it will make things much better. All caps, and let's run it. Here we go. There you go. Make sure you center the anchor point because caps kind of shifted it. So now you can just adjust. Don't do sourceREKT at time for scale. You do it for size. Size is pixel, like it's accurate in pixels. So that's the one you want, size, right? And then scale is just right from 0 to 100 based on your size. And make sure your shape layer, that's where it gets complicated. Make sure that they're, like, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Make sure that they're both the same size, right? When you created it, it is. So that is important when you do sourceREKT at times. So then you would go to, right, you have your text, you created it. Then you go to sourceREKT, source text, and then hit S twice to solo it. Alt click on the stopwatch to create an expression. And I'm applying expression to the wrong place. Okay, go to right here, E, select the shape E, and then go to you want the X size. So we have X size, alt click on the stopwatch, create an expression, and then you can just say, all right, this text, I'm pointing to it. So that's the path, right? And then at the end of it, you just say period sourceREKT at time. And then you do open and close parentheses. And then in here, you just say you want width or height. I'm going to say I want width because I am on the X size, right? It's left and right. So it's the width. So when I click away, it will automatically adjust to Kirk Chapman. Okay. Then I can just copy this and go to Y size. Alt click on the stopwatch. Let me select both of these. Hit S twice to solo it. And then in here, I can just paste the same thing. But instead of width, I'm going to say height. Okay, so then it works, right? Then you can say, all right, let me, select the smartREKT. Well, that's where I started getting a problem, right? Because you want to adjust the size and things. So that's where you can add padding. So that's something I'm working on to create extra options for sourceREKT at time. But if you want to add, like if you change the size of the text, if you adjust the size, obviously it shifts because the anchor point needs to be the same. So there's a lot of, like, that's why I held back, because there's a lot of things that needs to be figured out. But essentially this, I mean, if you just change the name, it will stay with it, right? You can add padding, you can say width, and you can say plus, let's do like 40 pixels, right? And then you can say plus 40 for that one as well. So that's how you would add padding, right? But I would have a slider that I'm going to add too. So that's kind of, I mean, you just have to run smartREKT at time, and then you can go over here and animate the scale instead of the size. So that's another reason why I added the scale instead of the size. You want to go from the left, so you say, let's go center left, or not center, let's do center left. So from this side, obviously it shifted it, but then you can use the black magic button here. Boom, it goes back to it, and you can adjust. So yeah, I mean, smartREKT at time is pretty easy. Again, just point to the path of the text, and then just like path meaning, right? You just pick whip to the text, and then just add this smartREKT at time width. And then if you need padding, you just say plus and then padding, whatever number you want. You can say 100, and it'll add 100 pixels. And then obviously it shifts, then you're in trouble, and that's why I'm working on other options for it. So yeah, that's where it gets complicated. People don't realize, like, hey, why don't you just add the, I mean, I did, and it worked, but it was off in some ways, and so I couldn't get it. I had a release date that I had to finish it by. I like what Pixar says. We don't finish things, we release them. So I had to finish, released it fully working, and that feature wasn't there yet, but it will be. All right, any other questions? And I hope I answered this for you, Bob. Was it Bob? I think it was. Let me see. Let's go back. All right. Well, with that, Vlad, you want any other questions? I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, let's see. It's kind of weird because there's a little delay. There's like a minute delay between you speaking and the chat. So it's I have the headphones listening to the same thing. Let's see. No, I think this is good for now. Shout out to Daniel from Canada. He's going to do a French tutorial of the same thing.
Yeah, by the way, Tom is saying, yeah, Tom, the auto-centered thing is actually like it, that feature, you're not seeing, let me go back to, yeah, you guys see my screen, okay. So he's asking, I think, the auto feature. So I know, like, when you type a text, so if the anchor point, it'll create smartREKT based on the anchor point for the text, right? However, that's not the case for raster. So the only I left it to where you had to manually center it yourself for raster, for vector only. But if you create like a new solid, right? And if you create anything like this, and you move the anchor point in here, if you select it and run smartREKT, it will create it right to the center of raster, because it's so much easier to deal with raster. Where it gets weird when you write scripting, right now I'm trying to fix this problem, is each line, I got it down for one line, but like, you have to consider not only the text size, but also the size of each line, and there's a lot of things. So it would just be off a lot of times, and I just couldn't get it to work perfectly. It was off by like few pixels here and there, and so again, I'm not there yet, but eventually I'm gonna marry that into it. But scripting is a bit tough because sometimes you have to throw in some, I don't know, you have to kind of figure, like, duct tape things sometimes. Marco will probably agree with me. So, but I will get there eventually. But yeah, I had that feature and it worked fine until you start adding more lines and shape layers. If you create other shapes, it just started like throwing things off. Dawson, thank you so much for the tip, man. I appreciate it. Wow, man. So yeah, I'm aware of those things. I definitely want to see those things in smartREKT. It's just sometimes if it's not 100% working, I tend to not add it in, but it's in the working for sure. I hope that answered. Joe, welcome. Daniel, nice tutorial. All right. I think that's it.
Is it written with the new expression engine?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, new expression engine is not that much different. Now, I know a lot of people want to take a course and they're like, I don't know if it's old expression engine. The only thing that changed, I would say, that you have to kind of know about are, like, I covered it in the video, like just Google 7 new changes for expressions. Those are the only changes that you have to worry about. And usually it's just the if-else statement and like the way you access text. But yeah, this thing is written, it works as far as all the way to when smartREKT method was introduced, which I think was After Effects 13. I tried it and it just didn't work. So After Effects 14 and up, smartREKT works fine with it flawlessly. But because of that SourceREKT at time method, and it was introduced, back then. So hope that answers your question. And how long have we been doing this? We're like, what time is it? I'm kind of lost. I'm having fun.
We're almost an hour in.
Almost an hour in.
9 minutes away.
We still have people watching. Wow. All right. Well, any other questions, comments? Again, I keep working on it. I'll have 3.0 soon, and the lower third, I'm gonna call it smartREKT Keyframe-less Modular lower third or something like that. And that lower third is gonna be great, and it's gonna be available for both After Effects. I'm going to create MoGRT files, basically motion graphic templates for Premiere. So you can bring that in Premiere and create your own lower third in Premiere instantly. So again, with that purchase, I think it's a good value for you guys. Not only do you get smartREKT, but you also get a lower third that's coming in a day or two. But we're just a small team here right now, and it's taking time, but it will get there eventually. Thank you guys. The price now for smartREKT is $19. I think $19 or something like that. So for what it saves you, I think it's a good amount. And again, you'll get the lower third here in the next day or so. So it's definitely, and hi from Ukraine, Sergei, love your name. Workbench. Naming stuff is tough. Yeah, I agree, man. Especially smartREKT. That was Tim Thiessen, the guy who passed away, my mentor. He was the one that came up with that name. I love it. I think it's great. But yeah, naming it could be Workbench. I do love your name, dude. It's a really, really interesting name. And the colors and everything, man. Love it. How did you come up with that, by the way, Joe? I'm assuming it's Joe. Such a bargain. Thank you. Hey, I'd like to think that smartREKT is valuable. And I definitely want to help you guys out. Anything else? I'm spinning wheels here. Tom, love the muscles. What a deal, Greg. Thanks, Greg. And Greg is another guy from our community that I absolutely love. Great dude. I'd love to meet him one day. Luke Roberts, I see that name pop up constantly. Can you make smartREKT smartREKT?
That's Luke Roberts. Past guest of Ukraine Media Podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I love that. Shrek theme with the little ears and stuff. I can see, we can work that into it. Collective
Dave garage. Said he's buying it
dude,
now.
I keep asking about Workbench. And dude, you told me that multiple times, Joe. It keeps leaving me. Now, like you say, it's like, I remember you telling me that.
And Joe just sent you a script to try out.
Dave is buying it now. Dave, thanks, man. Again, I appreciate your support. All of you guys that have. It's just me, my twin bro, living the American dream here, and we're having fun.
Kirk Chapman just bought it.
Kirk, thank you. He also bought our shirt. He sent me a picture. He looks cool in it. Kirk, man, you're the best, dude. I love that guy. And so Sev is on here too, man. That's cool. Yeah, Joe. I know I'm gonna ask you about it again. Probably be like, hey, Joe. So how did you come up with Workbench? It sounds really cool. My company is DigiSlate. That's cool. What do you do, Dave? What kind of company is it? I'm curious. Okay. If you're just now joining in, this is just me talking to you guys. So the live stream is over. You can probably rewind and watch it over again. John Dickinson. Oh, Dave, I love Australian dude. John, you interviewed him.
Yeah.
Great guy. Super talented modeler. Yeah, that's cool. He's a good friend. Dawson, gotta run now. Hey, Dawson, thank you so much for everything. Hey, give me a text, dude. Let's meet up and have some lunch. Vlad's here too, so we'll make it happen. You wanna show your face?
What's up, guys?
All right. Well, with that, again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with us. This is our first live stream of this year, and we're not good at this thing. He's a good dude. Yep, he is. I agree with Joe. And John's been around for a while. I mean, I remember, like, he's a vet, man. He's super talented and knowledgeable and that stuff. But with that, thank you guys for tuning in. Whoa. Is that dude, man. We need to have him on a podcast. Where are you from, by the way, as Art Motion Graphics? By the way, thank you for the tip. Where are you from? I'm curious because I see you pop up constantly on social media, Twitter, Facebook, even Insta. I'm not sure, but I've seen you all over. I know I have a delay, so I'm gonna wait for your answer. I'm curious to see where you're from and your story. Am I going on too long now? Like, I feel like I need to end. I am in Chicago. Dave, that's cool. If you ever in Charlotte, and by the way, any of you, if you guys ever in Charlotte, and Joe was here recently, and he stopped by. We had some dinner. We got to know his family and also his wife. And Joe, we had a blast here. We enjoyed. It was definitely an honor to have you here, dude. It was great. Yeah, if you don't know this, but Joe from Workbench, he was at our house here. Pretty big deal.
Downstairs.
Yeah, like it was pretty cool. We're waiting on Sev to stop by next. So Sev, we're waiting on you.
Sev is moving like pond water. Come on, man.
From Moscow, Denise from Moscow. Welcome, Dennis. Switzerland. Oh, that is so cool, man. That is so cool. Same. We'll come to you eventually too, Workbench. We're coming. We're gonna do some work. Sev's got a creative agency based in Switzerland. That's one country that I'd love to visit one day. That's awesome. Hey, if you're ever in US, hit us up. Charlotte, North Carolina. Anybody, all of you, it goes to anybody. If you're in Charlotte, live close by, and you want to stop by, we'd love to get together. Right back at you, Joe. All right. Oh, there was one thing I wanted to say, but I forgot. How can you render fast in After Effects? Well, the most obvious one would be new computer, but obviously you can optimize, and it's a whole different subject, but depends on what you're doing. And hard deep, hi Sergei, well, hi, right back at you.
I said you can't.
What do you mean? Missing that? You can't what?
Render faster.
Oh, you can't. Okay. Work now, Joe. You got like all these scripts or like the jitter stuff that you do. That probably takes some time to render. You guys go to Switzerland, stop by. Oh, we have another one. Oh, stop by Paris to say. I'm actually going to Madrid, Spain soon to next month. It was supposed to be this weekend, but it got postponed. And so I'll be in Madrid, Spain. So if any of you from Madrid, Spain, I'll be doing a 5-day session on expressions, in-person session, like teaching expressions for a company I'm probably not allowed to name yet, but it's a major broadcasting sports company, which I'm excited. I've never done like an in-person training, which I'm super stoked about. It's going to be so cool. And if you're in Madrid or on the way there somewhere around that area, hit me up. I would love to get to know you. And I don't speak Spanish. I do know how to say vamos a la playa and Barcelona.
Barcelona.
But that's about it. I feel weird talking, Vlad. Do you want to say something?
I can post that. Hey guys, Vladimir here. It's kind of weird. I'm over here in the wings, reading the comments, saying hello to, let's see, Workbench people. Looks like they're dominating the chat room. We have.
By the way, Joe, we still need to do. You should take over our social media sometimes, man. We should talk about that. I think that'd be kind of cool. When I'm assuming you're talking about when I'm going to Spain, and Spain is probably first week in March, and pretty excited about that. I used to live in Spain. Those of you that know, I lived in Segur de Calafell, right outside of Catalonia, or where was it? Tarragona, and we lived there like 3 summers in a row, and a family hosted us, and I haven't seen them in like 19 years, or something crazy like that. Right?
Yeah.
So now I'll get to reunite with them, and it's going to be so cool. I'm really pumped. I just want to thank him in person, because honestly, the reason why we were in Spain, because we were broke in Ukraine, and that was like a program that they gave to pretty much to anyone who was broke, and that was us, 9 kids, and so we were pretty poor, and they shipped us out, and this family just took care of us. They closed us. They've done a lot of good for us. And man, that's so cool that I get to go back and thank him in person, which I'm super excited about. Thanks, Joe. Ukrainian here. Дуже клёво. Yeah, my Ukrainian's struggling now, so sorry. Madrid is all right. Well, hey, let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I can stay here and talk to you guys all day long, but if you want to continue the conversation, you should definitely join our online community at ukramedia.com/community, and we would love to see you there. But in the meantime, thank you for all the love, all the support, all the awesome things that you guys do. And Joe and Sev, you guys are awesome. If you're not subscribed to workbench.tv, you should definitely be subscribed to their channel. They do some phenomenal stuff. I mean, stuff that they do there is just like Cinema 4D, After Effects. You should definitely consider them. And they're just cool guys. We met them. I know. I'm not just saying this. I've met Joe. Not Sev yet, but I talked to him a few times. I mean, many times. So anyway, join them. Subscribe to their channel. But in the meantime, my name is Sergei and Vlad is right here. And thank you guys for tuning in. And hopefully we'll do this again soon. And thank you for all the support. But I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Hold on, watch this. I have this next slide. You ready for it?